So today I feel super inspired to share with you one of the greatest truths I've come to know about everything, about existence, about our world, our wonderful, wonderful world. This is probably the greatest thing I've ever learned. And I feel that this is something I will be teaching and learning for the rest of my life. In fact, the Gaia Awakening Institute, which I'll be helping to co-create next year, it's devoted to this truth. This is something that I've learned from, I have to pay homage to my indigenous teachers. I've been very blessed in my life to have worked with many indigenous teachers from mostly Turtle Island, Canada and America. And they've inspired me to go on a journey reclaiming my own indigenousness as a white European man who's been tracing his heritage back to the Celtic civilizations, the Druids, the Gnostics, the ancient Magi and followers of the mystery schools that were devoted to Gaia Sophia, who is considered the Earth Mother. And perhaps one of the greatest experiences I've had in my life was in 2012, I undertook a vision quest with Anishinaabe Elder Dave Kershane Jr., who recently passed away. And during that experience, I had an incredible experience of connecting to Mother Earth as our wisdom teacher, which is what Dave and many indigenous people have been trying to tell us, especially those of us who have been living in more colonial cultures and have been severed from nature. This has really burgeoned in me the need for what I call eco-spirituality, which in my mind is just another kind of fancy name of saying indigenous wisdom, people who have lived by the earth and for the earth for many, 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 many generations, who know in that devoted relationship how important it is to stay grounded in the sacred ecology of the planet, as not only a means to just meet basic sustenance of food, having clear water, clean water, access to clean air, but there's a deeper sustenance there, and this is kind of the essence of this talk, is what I've come to learn is that the earth, Mother Earth, Gaia, Sophia, is truly the goddess of wisdom. And it is her nature that is our perpetual teacher. And thus, when we think about the environmental crisis that we're dealing with right now, which is the universal challenge that all of us are facing, it's the great equalizer. No matter what culture, what religion you are a part of, we are all facing this threat of extinction of our very livelihoods. And we're all already dealing with, because of our broken relationship with the earth, we're dealing with the extinction of many life forms every single day because of the way that we've devastated the planet. And this is an old story that I've shared in many different ways about how did we get to this place of being so broken in our relationship to the earth that we're actually antagonistic to the ecosystem. We're actually willfully, or rather unconsciously, destroying it to the point where we've put tremendous stress on our ability to actually sustain ourselves, which is the height of insanity. And what we're seeing now is, although there's all this emphasis right now on technology and the metaverse and cryptocurrency and NFTs and all of that, to me, of primary importance right now is that we need to heal this relationship with the earth. We need to come back into sacred relationship with her. And one of the things that we need to realize is the reason for that is because our very life depends on it. We are a species that has gone completely insane. And the only cure for that sanity is the wisdom that is in nature. There's this beautiful teaching that I shared this morning with the men in my Kings of the Heart 8-week course that we're doing right now, where I take them through the 4 major archetypes. And we're right now just ending our time with the magician shaman. And I shared this teaching with them this morning about what's known as the guiding realm. And this comes from a very beautiful earth-based tradition of wisdom called Taoism, which comes out of the Orient, the ancient Chinese. And Taoism is this beautiful terrestrial, grounded, eco-spiritual tradition that also has a very supernatural, mystical element to it, because when you start to really acknowledge the earth and really observe and be a witness and even a nature worshiper, as many of our ancient ancestors were, you start to witness how profoundly mystical nature is itself. As Bob Marley sang, there's a natural mystic flowing in the air. Very profound truth there. And what the Taoists realized was that there was a certain dimension of reality that was just absolutely filled with guidance. It was like bubbling springs of perpetual wisdom. And they discovered that the way to access that guiding realm is to go into the heart, the consciousness of the heart. And by doing so, we come into a place of synthesis. The heart was said to be the rendezvous point between heaven and earth, the place of unity consciousness, whereas the intellect is the tool of analysis. It's able to distinguish things from each other, which is also a very important tool. But our culture has currently become utterly swept up in the dominion of the intellect, and it was never supposed to be that way. The heart is actually regarded as the supreme sovereign in ancient Chinese medicine. It's literally called the emperor, the empress. And we need to recreate that natural sense of hierarchy in our being. The other fascinating thing about this age that we live in currently right now, another tantric truth, another weaving of seeming opposites in a complementary whole, which is the power of love that we're all being initiated into right now, is that science is confirming the workings of this metaphysical realm. You may have heard of the Schumann Resonance. So the Schumann Resonance is this vibration that is basically between the earth itself, like the terrestrial ground, and the ionosphere, some of the first layers of the atmosphere. There is this standing wave frequency there of around 7.83 hertz. And what's profound about that is that actually correlates to more or less a theta brainwave state. And if you follow the work that I do in sound healing, I often talk about the importance of brainwave states and how we're perpetually in this monkey-mindedness of the beta mind, which is actually a profound drain of our energy. And when we start to tone with our voices and we start to meditate, and listen to the tones of crystal bowls, which with immediacy put people into alpha brainwave state, which steps us down into sort of the entry point of meditation. But if we continue to descend, we will enter into that theta brainwave state, which comes around in that 7-8 hertz realm of things. So when we're in nature, through this thing called entrainment, which is when a big frequency complex starts to influence a much weaker frequency complex, the natural law is that the bigger frequency will start to influence the other one to resonate with it. So this is why I say it's so important right now for all of humanity to spend time in nature immersion retreats, just spending time hiking in nature. And I mean big nature. If all you have access to is a tree in your backyard or a park, that's good enough. And at the Gaia Awakening Institute, this is one of our main thrusts, is creating experiences where people can just be in nature in meaningful ways. But the meaningful way is simply just to be there, because what happens when you're out in nature, I don't know if you can see me with the light, but I am just surrounded by a gigantic valley of jungle here, leading all the way to the ocean. This building I'm in, which is human-made, we're vastly outnumbered here. We have just nature all around us. And so it's very natural, as I've been living in Costa Rica, that I've been falling into more of a theta visionary state, just naturally, feeling constantly just drenched in meaningful visions, the guiding realm. This is profound. This is the natural mystic that I'm talking about. This is how easy it is. All we have to do is go to Gaia. And she starts to heal us through this entrainment, through this natural resonance, a harmonization starts to take place. Again, from the Taoists, you probably know the yin-yang symbol. The yin-yang symbol is known as the supreme ultimate, the Taiji, the supreme ultimate symbol of nature. It is literally a picture of what nature is like in its resting state, where the yin and the yang comes to this elegant, dynamic unity, complementary opposites engendering each other, inspiring each other's power. That's what happens whenever we rest. But in nature, we're resting constantly. Even if we're taking a hike and we're walking, we're constantly being worked on by that greater entraining energy, that frequency of nature that's constantly bringing us back into the wisdom of the guiding realm. To me, that is salvation. Right there, the Savior is all around us. The biggest problem we're facing right now on the planet is that we're realizing that all of these consequences that we've created through our actions are rooted in consciousness itself. We have a crisis of consciousness. This is why plant medicine ceremonies, spiritual wellness workshops, all these things are so profoundly desired right now, because people are realizing that it's at the level of consciousness itself that the healing needs to take place. And what I've discovered, and I'll be continuing to discover and share and just yelling from the jungle treetops, is that the best way to heal our consciousness is to be in nature, to be with Gaia, to be with the great planetary mother. And I implore and I invite you to center her in your life, to center her, to put her right there with God or whatever that highest sense of divinity is. That's how important this is. We need to be in that sacred connection more and more every single day, if you can. I really, really invite you to make that a part of your life. I'll leave it there, but I wanted to really share that. It was really alive with me this morning. And remember that the guiding realm, anytime you need guidance, you just have to go into your heart. And that can happen just with the ritual of present awareness breathing. But of course, the ritual of just being in nature makes it so much more powerful and accessible and inevitable. So I really implore you to make time to immerse yourself in nature and realize that in doing so, you are relating to wisdom in a deep way. You are devoting yourself. This is why our ancestors were nature worshipers. They realized how important it was. They devoted, they prayed to Mother Earth because they realized, my goddess, this wisdom is the most important thing. We need to be so guided. And we have this incredible teacher right here, all around us, within us too, because we are nature. Wow. If you would like to taste a bit more of my sacred art, my double album Monaural Creation is about to turn 1 year old, and it is 22 songs devoted to this whole idea of nature worship of the goddess Sophia. Go check it out. Go listen to it and deeply connect. Sending you all a lot of love. May the earth find its way into your hearts on the daily. May wisdom